Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm going to give you my opinions and recommendations for what phone that I would buy if I was looking for a phone right now. The reason I bring this up is because it's approaching the end of the year of 2013. Phones have been released and we have confirmation of the Nexus 5 as well, which was planned for release. And my friend, one of my good friends, was asking for a phone recommendation himself, and I thought, after I gave him the advice, I thought it would be a good video to make as well, because maybe other people would be interested as well in this aspect. So there's really 4 operating systems out there for the smartphones. You've got BlackBerry OS, you've got iOS from Apple, you've got Android from Google, and you've got a Windows Phone from Windows. And those are the 4 operating systems out there, and each have got their pros and cons. If I take If I look into them, there's certain phones I can think of that I would recommend, and certain phones out there that I probably wouldn't recommend. So first of all, if I look at BlackBerry OS, BlackBerry for me has been the phone that I would recommend for anyone that wants a keypad. If you don't want a keypad and you want purely a touchscreen, BlackBerry OS is a bit behind, well, should I say a bit behind, quite a bit behind the other operating systems, and I personally would not recommend it if you're looking for a touchscreen phone. If you do not want to, or if you want a touchscreen phone and a keypad, I'll definitely go for a BlackBerry phone. I think they're the best for keypads. The reason behind that is because they're just so well integrated, and you've got BBM over there, so they're very good. So if you're looking for something for the keypad, straight away I'm going to tell you, get a BlackBerry phone. Which BlackBerry? Now it just depends on your budget really. The bold range is pretty nice, so maybe look into that. Then I've got iOS from Apple. iOS, in my opinion, has been slugging behind from Android. There are a lot of integration things that have taken place in iOS 7 that have taken place in Android about 2 to 3 years ago, and the reason behind that is just because iOS, I think, in my opinion, are playing catch up with their operating system. But with that said, their phones are pretty rock solid. They've got pretty good operating systems, just generally speaking, in terms of security wise, in terms of integration, in terms of hardware integration, and the amount of apps you've got there and developer support from there. But that said, it is an Apple phone, meaning that you're going to have sometimes certain things that you're going to be locked down into, and by that I mean you're going to be put in the Apple ecosystem. Now if you're already in the Apple ecosystem, it's a great way of upgrading towards a new phone like the iPhone 5S or 5C, but if you're not in the Apple ecosystem, then there's going to be a lot of things in there that you're going to have to adopt. For example, simple thing of having iTunes open to have your music and sync that up. It's an external program that you're going to have to use, and something that you're not going to have to use with most of the other OSs out there. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you can try and get out of it, and it might be quite tough in that respect. But if you're not in it, then it's probably a thing that I wouldn't suggest to go into. Not only that, but their phones are pretty expensive for what they offer. For the same phone, for example, if I look at Android, for the same sort of spec phone, you can save yourself about £250 to £200 on a similarly spec'd phone. By that I mean like Galaxy S4 or Galaxy S3 in comparison to the 5C or the 5S. And in my opinion, I would never pay that amount of money. If the prices were the same, then it will come down to personal preference, and even then I probably would go for the Windows option if that was the case. So in my opinion, iOS is not offering something that I would personally buy, and it's something that I've never really seen that appealing because of Apple's way of taking you and making you an Apple customer, and making everything else a little bit more hostile, let's put it that way. Simply as syncing up your phone to I don't know, to putting apps or whatnot on your phone from other sources out there. So in my opinion, Apple wouldn't be the choice that I would recommend. But a lot of people do like it, and I can see why, because it's so well integrated. Next up is Android. Android is really diverse right now. You've got quite a few providers. You've got LG, you've got Sony, you've got HTC, you've got Samsung, and you've got Google themselves, which always partner up with a hardware manufacturer. Last year Samsung, this year is LG. So you've got quite a diversity in terms of range, and Android for me is where it's actually all at the moment. But with that said, we haven't seen much of an improvement over last year's models, and by that I mean both software and hardware wise. If I compare the Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy S4, the Galaxy S3 is a phone that I own and the Galaxy S4 is what my friends have. When I look at the differences, I don't really see that much of a difference and not that much of a desire to upgrade to a better, well, should I say better phone. Reason behind that, hardware wise, if I take those two examples, S3 and the S4, hardware wise we're looking at the screen, the processor, RAM in parentheses, and the camera. The screen and the camera are not huge things for me. I mean, I can tell the difference, but it's not something that's going to be really like, whoa, I'm going to pay extra £200–300 for that. And the operating system is identical, in my opinion, and the processor is something that I'm not going to really utilize. I have it always on power saving mode, don't really need it off power saving mode, don't really see a need why I would need 8 cores or even a better quad core, let's put it that way. But yeah, the operating system of Android has kind of like slowed down in its pace. Android KitKat looks really promising, but with that said, if you look at certain things of Android KitKat, it's still got a lot of base from, you know, initial Jelly Bean release. So in comparison to previous years when we saw the variances between Eclair, Froyo, Jelly Bean, or Ice Cream Sandwich as well, Honeycomb as well, there was big leaps in development, and now I think it's slowly slowed down. And in my opinion, I don't know what I would even suggest to Android or Google to say, hey, this could do a change or this could be better. The only thing I can think of is giving even more control to users and being even more responsible in with the source code that's released to developers. And the reason why I bring up source code is because if I take Samsung as an example, they were really sluggish and really bad in not releasing source code, kernel source code. So that means developers that were willing to work on their phones and spend hours of their free time on their phones for free for users on XDA developers, Samsung never released that code, and that frustrated a lot of developers and a lot of users like myself, because I was thinking, why have Samsung done this? I don't really understand. It's almost against their GPL licenses. But anyway, there's a different issue. In my opinion, I see Android slowing down in terms of its developments and in terms of its new features they can offer. But with that said, when I look at the other operating systems, Android does offer the most diverse and best operating system on a smartphone that I can think of. But anyway, moving on to the final operating system, Windows Phone. Now Windows Phone's going to come a long way, in my opinion, and I think they're doing a brilliant job. I really think they're doing a really good job. They've got a simple phone. They're not trying to compete with Android, in my opinion, because they're not trying to go with a customized route of you can do whatever you want with your phone. They've gone for more of simple, look, here's tiles and this is what each of these do. This is a call, this is a text, that's a browser, and that's your camera. Simple as it is, it's on your home screen. If you want more, you can swipe and you've got your apps. But apart from that, it is very simple to use, and because of its simplicity, it makes it really nice to use and really fluid to use. So when it came to recommendations for my friend, it was actually quite hard to tell him what to get, because he had an iPhone 4 and he said, look, I'm getting frustrated with the battery. And for me, that's something that really frustrated me when I had an iOS device, which was the iPod 3rd generation, so quite a while ago. And that's something that frustrated me, was its battery life. And that's something that I think made me buy a Samsung over any other phone out there, is because they had removable batteries. So when it comes down to it, what operating system would I recommend? Well, it really depends on you. If you're looking for an operating system that's well synced with everything, you're probably going to look at Windows Phone, because you probably have a Windows operating system. or if you don't, that's something else. But if you have a Windows operating system, which a lot of people do in comparison to Apple Mac computers, then you're going to be looking at Windows Phone in terms of compatibility. You're going to have really good integration. You've got Zune Music over there and everything. The integration is fabulous, if you ask me. It's really, really good. And so in that respect, you're probably going to look at Windows Phone. And if you want something simple as well, very easy to use and very like, oh, I know everything in my phone within about 1 hour of use, then Windows Phone is going to be an option for you. But that said, if you're looking for something for a bit more options to customize your phone, then Android is probably going to be the best solution for you, because then you can choose anything you want in and out of your phone, as simple as widgets as might be for Android users. It's something that you don't really see in other operating systems. So if you want something to customize, go with Android. If you want something simple and very compatible, go with Windows. But what happens to iOS and BlackBerry? Well, BlackBerry I think have got a lot of catching up to do, and I think they're hitting on the wrong market right now. The reason I was reluctant of including them in this video is because in the touchscreen and smartphone comparison, BlackBerry doesn't really come close, or nowhere near, in fact, in terms of what they can offer. But if, again, as I said, if there's something that you would want hardware-wise, and that would be the keypad, then I'll definitely go for BlackBerry. So that means that leaves me with Apple. What do I do with Apple? Well, you can eat it if you want, but what would I do with Apple? Well, Apple is trying to go towards a more user friendly route, but at the same time trying to give as much customizable options to users. So in that case, with iOS 7, they've taken a lot of customized options and put them in their operating system, but at the same time they're trying to keep it quite user friendly and not give them too much options, unlike Android, so it might confuse users, which is good. But then when I look at the pricing of these phones, when I look at Windows, Android and iOS, and the phones within those operating systems, iPhone comes up always on top in terms of the price, in terms of how expensive it is. iPhone is always here. It's really at the top level. By that I mean top level. I mean the most expensive phone you can probably look. It's going to be an iPhone. You could sense that coming. But how does that reflect my opinions about it? Well, it reflects my opinions quite a lot, because if a phone is expensive, I'd expect it to offer something new. I don't want it just to be a brand. It's just got an Apple logo. It doesn't mean I have to pay an extra £200. And unfortunately, that's what it feels like right now, because what the phones that they offer right now in comparison to Windows and Android are nothing special. The fingerprint scanner, nice touch Apple, but it's not going to win me over. 64-bit processors, Chris, what about that? Well, 64-bit processors are really cool in computers, but it's not something I would get on a phone, and it's not something I'll utilize on a phone. As I told you already, that on my Galaxy S3, I use power saving mode all the time. I don't even take it off power saving mode. A lot of people know that about me. I never take it off power saving mode because I don't need it. I don't need the extra processing power, and because of the lack of need of processing power, I have better battery. So 64-bit processors, great for performance, but where am I going to use that performance? I don't really need it. There's nothing that's going to challenge it. You know, most people don't even use that many apps. They actually just use it for browsing, texting and calling. And those are three main factors. And in all honesty, 64-bit processors doesn't really affect any of those. If anything, it'll be connectivity. So that's where Apple stands, in my opinion. They're almost like trying to hit on two operating systems right now, which is Windows and Android, and they're doing it quite well. But the problem is that when you look at the pricing of their operating system, aka their phones, and you compare that to the operating systems or the phones within the operating system of their competitors, it just becomes a no-brainer of almost excluding Apple from that comparison, because they're just so expensive in comparison. So that's my honest opinion, if you ask me, about Apple. But with that said, there's a lot of Apple users out there, for example my friend, which were into the Apple ecosystem, and now they're going to find it hard to come out of it. So if they can't come out of it, or if they want to stay in it, for example FaceTime, iMessage and whatnot, or iTunes and things like that, then sure, I would go for an Apple phone, because it's still a very, very good phone. In fact, a really good phone, if you ask me, like the 5S. It's a really good phone. What it offers is brilliant. Okay, the price is a little bit more expensive, but apart from that, it's a really good phone, you know, at its heart. But you're going to be stuck in the Apple ecosystem. So if you can't get out of the Apple ecosystem, and by that I mean not by you not wanting to get out, but your family and friends using that ecosystem and you using it as well, like FaceTime for example, just a simple example, then you're going to want to stick to Apple, because if you go on the other ones, then you're not going to be able to communicate with your friends and family, or download your music from iTunes to your phone, for example. But there's another example of that. So if you can't get out of the ecosystem, then you're going to have to stick with Apple, unfortunately. But if you can get out of it, then definitely consider your options of Windows and Android. Now, when I look at the Windows phone, I think they've come really far. If you want the best camera on the market right now, on a smartphone, definitely look into the Windows phone because of the Lumia 1020. But that said, also performance-wise, their phones are so smooth and buttery. They looked at on Android, it's like Project Butter or whatever it was. I really feel that's the principle on Windows Phone, because it's so well done and it's quite inexpensive in terms of phones. The phones out there, like the 920, it's not that expensive and it offers quite a lot for bang for buck. Now if you look at Android, then if you're going to go the Android route, which is more customized phone experience and open source phone experience, then you've got a lot of phone companies out there. As I said, there's about 5 in there. If you want something that you're going to get the latest updates from Google, go with the Nexus line. The reason why is because it's built by Google, but with a hardware partner. Let's take the latest generation with the Nexus 5, and that's with LG. You're going to get good specs at a really cheap price and get the latest updates from Google. So it's almost like the software phone for me. Software phone is the Nexus. The Nexus 5 takes a software phone. If you want something that's going to be a bit waterproof and good with water, handling with water, then the Sony Xperia range is really good. The Z1, for example, is a really good phone, and the waterproof functionalities are really cool. Great for people which are outdoor and going to be active. I would recommend a Sony. If you want something with a lot of sound, and by that I mean speaker sound, not earphone or headphone sound, speaker sound, then you're going to look at the HTC, because this HTC One or the One X have got really good design, and on top of that, the design overall on their phones is really good. You've got a really nice build quality and really nice finish to the phone. So their build quality and their speaker sound quality is excellent, and if that's something you're looking for in a phone, you'd go for that. Samsung, I would say the screen, you've got the AMOLED screen, you've got also the removable battery, which is a big thing, and the general hardware compatibility with Android. If you take Nexus out of the phones that I just mentioned, the Sony and the HTC and even LG, then you're looking at a phone which has probably got the best user experience with Android on a Android phone, if that makes sense. So TouchWiz really does a great job over Sense, and in fact I prefer TouchWiz over the pure Android experience which is found on the Nexus, simply because it's just more user friendly and it looks nicer and more visually appealing in my opinion. That said, it seems to be changing with Android KitKat, but still at its base, TouchWiz in my opinion is a brilliant base block that they've put on Android, and it does a brilliant job. And Samsung make all the hardware for their phone, well pretty much, so that means you get great hardware in there as well. So Samsung is really good in that respect. Then you've got LG, in my opinion, are slightly slacking. You've got a good range, that's it on the LG range as well. Even Motorola are out there as well, but those two, like Motorola and LG, are just kind of slacking behind HTC, Samsung, Sony, and even the Nexus. So I would almost forget those two as an option. So it comes down to it, what are you going to choose within the Android phone? Well, as I said, it depends what you're going to choose within those. If you ask me, my personal suggestion is get a phone with a removable battery, and automatically that goes to the Samsung Galaxy S line, or the Note line even, just because it has a removable battery, and I know how lithium batteries work, and by I mean I don't know in terms of like a scientist who's going to come out here and tell you this is the graphs and whatnot, but from experience and a lot of people out there which have a phone that has a lithium battery, which all phones now have, is that it degrades over time. 100% 1 year ago is now the new 80%. So your phone that used to go up to 100% will only go to 80% in terms of battery life, the differences. So a removable battery is a must for me, because I even have four Samsung Galaxy S3 batteries, kept adding them, and I've realised the newer battery has more life in it than the older battery that came with the phone. The battery is exactly the same, it's just one has been used and abused more than the other one. And because of that, the newer lithium battery just runs better and gives me better battery life. So in that respect, I'll always go for a phone with a removable battery. And if Samsung remove that, then I'll probably go off Samsung and get a Nexus. So that's my honest opinion on that respect. So if you want to get a phone right now and you're looking for a good all-rounder, Samsung is probably your best bet for a phone to go for. The only reason I'm saying that is because you've got the customized options of Android, you've got the good hardware specs in there, you've got the removable battery, the external SD card in there, and you've got a solid operating system which is pretty solid. So anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this video. I've tried to make a nice little summary for you guys. Hopefully it makes enough sense. And this is my personal opinion. Don't take it as rock solid. Try out the phones as well before you buy them. But in my personal experience and thoughts and opinions of the operating systems and the phones, that's my video on it, I guess. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, favorite / share this video. Really means a lot to me. And do let me know your comments. What would you go for right now if you were on a budget and if you weren't on a budget? Because that's a huge thing for me. Budget is a big thing. If I wasn't on a budget, I'd go for a Galaxy S4. If I was on a budget, I'd go for a Galaxy S3. If I had to buy a phone right now and I didn't have a phone, that's what I would go for. Anyway guys, take care. Bye bye.